What is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Smackdown, for once, wasn't its usual pit of suckstitude that absolutely brings us down into the depths of disparity. It actually wasn't too bad. The Intercontinental Championship tournament has provided us with a couple of more good matchups, and there was a decent mixed tag team matchup on this night featuring the one angle on SmackDown that anybody actually gives a crap about. But other than that, SmackDown was nothing more than its usual suck down train to Crapsville, and we are going to talk about it all right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's SmackDown review and reaction show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
This wasn't the greatest show in the world, but I definitely appreciate the fact that it was probably the best show that SmackDown has put on since the entire pandemic has begun. Since we've had shows without fans, these SmackDowns have just been insufferable pieces of trash. But tonight, thanks to the high-stakes Intercontinental Championship tournament, we were treated to a couple of great matches. It's no surprise to anybody that you put AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura against each other across the ring with something at stake, and you're going to get a good match. They were given a decent amount of time, and these two guys definitely stole the show for SmackDown tonight. It was the best match of the evening. And then on the opposite end, you had guys like Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, who I think I've actually maybe been kind of unfair on this channel in the weeks leading up to this matchup. I was kind of put off by the fact that they inserted this match into the Intercontinental Championship tournament, but it does kind of make sense to have this continue on from the Intercontinental Championship tournament. Sheamus ended up on the short end of the stick. They gave the win to Jeff Hardy here, as he's going to go on and give us a once-in-a-lifetime dream match against Daniel Bryan next week. So if you need a reason to tune in next week, there you go. Maybe, as far as I can tell, for the first time ever, Daniel Bryan versus Jeff Hardy in a one-on-one scenario with high stakes. It's going to be a good match. It can't possibly be bad, I don't think. But tonight, after that, after you take out all of the Intercontinental Championship stuff, you start the show. You start the show leaving me no choice but to deliver a Hardy poop hammer. Because the way they open SmackDown is nothing more than a public service announcement as to the meaning of the phrase, be careful what you wish for, right? We all here at this channel, when John Morrison came back to the WWE, were all excited about the prospects of having the Shaman of Sexy back on board. They teamed him back up with The Miz, and what did we say? We said, oh man, this might be the shot in the arm the tag team division needs. We have a legit tag team, former world tag team champions, guys with charisma like The Miz and Morrison. Maybe they could pull it together and give us a reason to be interested in the tag team division, because that's what we needed. What we didn't need is another tag team to come along and be a clown show. We didn't need another circus act. We didn't need another comedy riot, knee-slapping tag team, because you definitely aren't producing those results. When you have an episode of The Dirt Sheet devoted to The Miz and Morrison being pissed off at Braun Strowman for helping out Otis last week. And it is made infinitely worse by the outcome of this whole entire scenario, and how anybody in the back can think that anyone in the world wants to see Braun Strowman versus The Miz and Morrison in a 2-on-1 handicap match for the Blue Universal Championship, for $100,000 million, for a Money in the Bank briefcase. It doesn't matter what's at stake. Nobody in the world wants to see that match happen. You're taking Braun Strowman and moving him from Bray Wyatt to a meaningless match against a team that's going to be fed to Braun Strowman, only furthering devaluing them and the entire tag team division as a whole. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Braun Strowman easily defeats John Morrison last week. Braun Strowman easily defeats The Miz in the opening bout this week. But nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that. I am far more insulted at the fact that I had to sit here and watch The Miz actually execute offense on Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman should have annihilated The Miz in about 3.5 seconds. And that's being generous. With John Morrison on the outside. Only to have them end up challenging him to a 2-on-1, and Braun Strowman accepts. Absolute lunacy. You started off this whole show with a bunch of bad fart jokes being delivered by a couple of knockoff puppets. What the hell were they named? Diaper Baby and Poop Head? Whatever the hell they wanted to make fun of Bray Wyatt's puppets. Talking about how Braun Strowman is not as good as the puppets. Bray Wyatt would rather be with the puppets. This is the inciting incident that brings forth Braun Strowman. That makes the Universal Championship matchup at Backlash. Holy shit. Backtrash is what we're going to call it. It's probably what everybody's going to be calling it. It's absolute lunacy. And it is definitely the biggest poop hammer coming down on this episode tonight. They followed this up with the first of the 2 Intercontinental Championship tournament matches, AJ Styles defeating Shinsuke Nakamura in a great match. This was a really, really entertaining match. They were hard-hitting. They were hitting hard, I should say. Of course, it was a hard-hitting matchup, but they were going at it like nobody's business. These guys were really putting it all on the line in front of nobody, in front of absolutely nobody, but they didn't let that bother them. They went out there and they stole the show tonight. It was a great matchup. It was really, really good. Probably the match I've most enjoyed since everything has changed to its current state. And I hope to see more of this as the Intercontinental Championship winds down. If AJ Styles ends up winning the Intercontinental Championship, I would love to see him in rivalries back with Shinsuke Nakamura, back and forth, going for the most prestigious belt probably in the industry. AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. The list goes on and on. You could even flip-flop a lot of those names. Daniel Bryan could win, and we can have a whole bunch of the same matchups, but I hope that that's where they're going with this. The only negative here out of this matchup is it's just going to come down to another loss on the record of Shinsuke Nakamura, who's been treated like a big bag of red trash. They don't really care about him. They don't care about his aura. They don't care about building him up. Every time we see Shinsuke, he's in there with formidable opponents. He's putting on decent matches, but he's looking up at the lights at the end of the day. And I don't understand how they just devalue Shinsuke Nakamura so much on a weekly basis. Maybe he's being punished now for Sami Zayn not wanting to show up and defend the Intercontinental Championship, which puts us in this situation in the first place. But that's another story for another day. Regardless how you feel about that, we're getting some pretty good matchups. This was one of them, and if you missed it, definitely worth going to check out. AJ Styles was victorious and moves on to take on Elias next week, which is intriguing for a whole nother set of reasons. Not because it's going to turn out to be a Matt Classic, but because I can't imagine Elias being able to go toe-to-toe with AJ Styles and not have this match be less than 5 minutes. I expect like a calf crusher or something within the first 5 minutes of the matchup. Elias, really? We're supposed to take him seriously in this light, in this situation, for the Intercontinental Championship against AJ Styles? Who's giving Elias a chance? Nobody. In fact, my money is on Constable Dickhead Baron Corbin showing up and ruining the party for Elias, getting him disqualified or something of that nature. But that is what we will have to tune in and see whether or not we're right next week. Then we have another poop hammer moment. You know what? We're going to pull it back up because it's worthy. It's worthy because we have to sit here and talk about Charlotte Flair. And I will never understand. I will never for the life of me understand what the obsession is with Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is everywhere. Every time we turn on a WWE program, NXT, Raw, Now SmackDown, week after week, we're going to see Charlotte Flair, and a woo-woo here and a woo-woo there, here a woo, there a woo, everywhere a woo-woo. I can't take it anymore. Because not only is she single-handedly shitting and burying all of the divisions that she's even breezing through, she's now showing up on SmackDown and losing to Bayley because Bayley cheated to win. Are we supposed to feel bad for the big bad villainous Charlotte? Is she not the heel in this scenario? Well, we know Bayley is the heel on SmackDown, but since you have this invitational, non-invitational bullshit going on and Charlotte Flair showing up everywhere where there's a camera, the lines are being blurred. Nobody knows whose allegiance is with who anymore, and the slow burn to the Sasha versus Bayley feud, I feel like it's not coming. And I feel this way because there are nights like tonight where they have a segment in the back where Bayley and Banks are talking, and Bayley's like, listen, I don't want you to come out there tonight. I'm going to go do this by myself. It looks like Sasha Banks is a little bit perturbed by this. And then Bayley goes out and has this match. She cheats to win. She goes to the back. She goes to celebrate with her buddy. They boss and hug all over each other. And everything's fine. For one brief fleeting second, they made you believe that, oh, maybe we are on our way to the Bayley versus Sasha thing that everybody wants to see. Maybe we are, because Bayley's like, hey, wait a minute. Sasha, are you being a dick? Are you being a dick to me? Well, she didn't say those words, but that's what she was getting at. And she was like, you didn't believe I could win, did you? You didn't really have my back. And Sasha's looking at her like, bitch, you crazy. What? And then Bayley was like, nah, I was just kidding, dog. Like, ha ha ha. It's all in with the funnies and the ha ha's and the ha ha ha. Are they doing this or not? It changes from one week to the next. And sure, the seeds are there. And I understand maybe they're slow burning. But sometimes when they burn at this pace, it's a little bit too slow. Because there's no progression. And the unnecessary insertion of Charlotte Flair into the scenario definitely makes it more confusing. And it's not allowing it to do what it needs to do to get the feud and the story that I thought they were trying to tell where it needs to be. But obviously the only story we're telling is old McCharlotte has a belt everywhere she goes with woo-woos here, there, and everywhere. God damn it. The match itself wasn't the worst match I've ever seen them have. Charlotte versus Bayley have a legitimate chemistry. Sometimes throughout this matchup it was a little bit slow and boring. To me, anyway, but they were going at it. They were pretty hard, stiff shots being delivered by both females here. There's a weird pause, right? It was like, they were pretty hard. And then whatever, let's glaze past it. I guess I'm just in a little bit of a shock that I didn't totally hate SmackDown, so I'm a little bit flubbering with my words this evening. But they followed up this whole Bayley and Sasha and Charlotte nonsense with Sonya Deville and Dolph Ziggler defeating Otis and Mandy Rose. And I'm okay with this whole thing. First of all, Mandy Rose came out with the cut-off jeans and the denim little crop top trying to match her buddy Otis. But then Otis comes out in gear that doesn't match. Like, why wouldn't you wear the one that at least matches your girl? Like, so that you at least look like a functioning team. But that's a minor little tidbit that just aggravated me. What didn't aggravate me was Sonya Deville. I continue to say on this channel, and will continue to say, Sonya Deville is starting to really come into her own. And I like the fact that she won here. And the WWE just didn't go back to giving a victory to Mandy, and then a victory to Sonya, and a victory to Mandy, and back and forth to 50-50 road to hell. They're not doing that here. They're building Sonya. She got the win tonight for her team. Dolph kept Otis on the outside from breaking up the 3 count. There was a lot of really good stuff in this match. Dolph Ziggler, not so much. I mean, he's the one thing that's actually not needed here. Like, this didn't need to exist, this mixed tag match, but it wasn't the worst thing that I've ever seen. In fact, it was decent. It was decent, and it was better than I expected it to be, so I'm not mad at it. But it didn't really need to be here. Because I'm not sure where they're going with this story either. We're telling the jealousy story between Sonya and Mandy, so we don't really need the men, do we? We could tell this story without them. They do add a little bit of flavor to the story. Otis having the money in the bank kind of shakes things up a little bit, but Dolph Ziggler on the other side with Sonya Deville really doesn't make any sense, because unless you got your head stuck under a rock somewhere, you know that Sonya Deville is part of the LGBTQ universe, and she's very proud of that. She's been very open, very vocal about it. So this partnership with Dolph Ziggler, it almost is coming off almost romantic, like the way they're kind of like holding on to each other, and it's almost like they're rebounding with each other. I don't know. It's very strange. It's a very strange pairing. And it doesn't need to exist, because the feud is about Sonya versus Mandy, not about Dolph Ziggler being a jilted ex-lover and Otis having the money in the bank. Those things are muddying up the story. So we need to trim some of the fat, and that's not a knock on Otis. That's more directed towards Dolph. I would rather... Otis can stay with Mandy, that doesn't bother me. But Dolph Ziggler and Sonya Deville doesn't need to be a thing. Sonya can exist on her own. She's proved that with a couple of weeks dropping straight fire on the mic, and now this week handling her business in the ring while the men were busy messing around on the outside, getting the victory for her team, getting Dolph Ziggler on the win board for once, and he didn't even have to do anything but stop Otis from getting back in the ring. So good. So even Dolph Ziggler makes out here. Good for you, DZ, for once. But I like Sonya Deville. I like where they're going with it. Hopefully they don't drop the ball. Right now they're on the right direction. They seem to be on a pretty good path. Hopefully they don't stray from it too much and make it too wacky and too wonky. We just need these girls to get in there and beat the snot out of each other. Maybe a singles match at Backlash for these two. Maybe build it up a little bit more and deliver it at SummerSlam. If we get a SummerSlam towards the end of the month, it would be just fine with me. We got a promo in the back from Jeff Hardy promising to defeat Sheamus in the final first round matchup of the evening. They showed the in memorial for Shad Gaspard, and with the tragic news that broke last week, or last Monday rather, we talked about it on the Monday Night Raw review. He heroically directed rescue teams to save his son, sacrificing the opportunity to save himself, and was later found washed up on the shores of Venice Beach, where he unfortunately drowned, and it's a tragic, terrible thing. I hate even thinking about it. He was a great man, and he will be missed by many, and it's terrible. And my heart and my prayers go out to everybody who's feeling the effects of Shad Gaspard passing away way too soon. The Forgotten Sons did a promo, and I forgot about it. And I'm not being funny. Whatever it is that they were saying, it just doesn't resonate, and it's not important, and it's not worth remembering. I don't know what it meant, and I didn't care enough to go rewatch it, because it seemed unimportant. It didn't make much sense, and it seemed like rambling. Steve Cutler, I noticed, was the one actually delivering the promo, which was a little bit different. It wasn't just Jackson Riker all the time. But I was just about as disinterested as I was all the other times. And while this is something I have said they needed to do with the tag teams, there's just something a bit boring about this trio. It's just not there. There's something that's not clicking. And I don't know what it is about the presentation. I don't know if it's the matching vests. I don't know if they just don't look right together. I don't know if it's just because they got off on the wrong foot with me coming off the main roster, getting wins over people immediately before anybody even knew who they were, and now you want to tell us who they are in the aftermath? I don't really care as much to listen. The Forgotten Sons of Anarchy are here on SmackDown. They said some shit not worth remembering. All I can remember is they keep saying "forgotten no more," but I forget everything that they say, so they're not being very good at their jobs. They announced the official announcement. Universal Champion Braun Strowman will take on The Miz and Morrison at Backtrash. Ridiculous. Renee Young then interviewed the two clowns in the back, where we got to hear the worst song in wrestling, the Hey Hey Ho Ho Miz and Morrison's Gotta Go song. Ridiculousness. Then they talked about the feud that has been developing between Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. And this is why I said I may not have been giving these guys enough credit, because watching the promo package back, they've actually been doing some really good work. They've been saying the right things. They've been building it up over the course of the last couple of weeks, and it gives a little bit more of an importance to this matchup other than just being part of the Intercontinental Championship tournament. And I can fully see this feud going on beyond the tournament. I don't think Jeff Hardy is going to win the tournament. I believe it's going to either be AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan. I don't think they're going to go with Jeff Hardy. And if Jeff Hardy beats Daniel Bryan next week, that's a whole different topic that we're going to have to talk about when we get to it next week. But I don't want to think about it too much right now. But Jeff Hardy took his first steps by defeating Sheamus tonight. This match, while it was good, it was slow going, and there was a lot of shenanigans. There was Sheamus holding Jeff Hardy's face and doing a lot of jibber-jabbing and talking at him and referencing how he was a junkie and this and that. And for some reason, Sheamus is obsessed with Michael Cole. And he keeps wanting to direct his attention to Michael Cole, telling Michael Cole, oh, look at Jeff Hardy now, and that stuff slows the match down. It's unnecessary. Sheamus should be singular-minded, focused, and just ready to obliterate Jeff Hardy, and that's the only reason for him to be out there. But instead, he wants to play. Sheamus wants to play. And playing so much is what cost him this match. It was a very simple story of the bigger, stronger heel doing everything he can to put down the underdog or the fan favorite, but the fan favorite just will not stay down. It was the age-old story in wrestling, and they pulled it off. It could have done without all of the little extra that we were just mentioning, but in the end, this was a good match, and Jeff Hardy moves on, and I was very surprised by this. I really thought Jeff Hardy was going to be beaten here by Sheamus and send him maybe on a downhill spiral, or maybe, continue the feud with Sheamus going on in a different direction than the one that they did. I thought we would see Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan next week as the semifinal round, reliving and revisiting that rivalry. But instead, we're getting a once-in-a-lifetime, never-before-seen Jeff Hardy versus Daniel Bryan, one-on-one, in an Intercontinental Championship tournament. And on the other side of the picture, we have... Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong picture. We have Elias and AJ Styles, which is a weird match, as we mentioned before. Absolutely weird. Who thinks Elias is going to win that one? I don't think anyone's walking with Elias on this bracket right here. AJ Styles is going to be moving on. And regardless who he ends up facing in the finals, Daniel Bryan or Jeff Hardy, that's going to be one hell of a match. Wouldn't it be something, though, if at this time next week we're sitting here talking about Jeff Hardy versus Elias? Thanks to King Dickhead himself. Look at him sitting up there all smug. Look at him. Ugh. You know what? Don't look at him. It's not worth it. But the Intercontinental Championship tournament has been worth it. With the exception of that one first matchup, everything that has come out of this tournament has been aces. Absolute aces. And I've been enjoying it for the most part. Never more than I have enjoyed it on this night, thanks to the efforts of AJ and Shinsuke Nakamura. That's it. That's all there really is to talk about. I don't want to talk about the continued ruination of professional wrestling by having Charlotte on every show. We will talk about that when we get back to Monday. You guys have seen it. If you were watching, you've seen the commercial, you've seen the advertisement, and you've seen it on social media. Monday night on Raw, the NXT Women's Champion is getting a shot at a championship matchup for the Raw Women's Championship versus Asuka. But first she has to go through Natalya, who has been losing and throwing temper tantrums and has done nothing to even earn the slightest bit of an opportunity at a championship. And Nia Snax. And we all know how we all feel about her. The worst booking I think I've ever seen of a number one contendership. You got a woman who shouldn't be in there because she's already a champion on another show. And then you got two women who have no business being around a championship. And none of those women deserve to be there. There are women that should be there that are named like, Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler. Women we would want to see go up against Asuka. Ruby Riott. Not that... You know what? We'll save that for Monday. And there's going to be a whole lot more as the weekend progresses, I'm sure, as the WWE just continues from week to week, giving us some good stuff here and there. But for the most part, just making us absolutely batshit crazy. Thank you guys. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to go play some man-eater. I'm going to go eat me some fish. I'm going to go try to eat that fucking alligator. There's this alligator that I'm swimming around the bayou, and this friggin' alligator keeps chomping my ass. And it's pissed me off. If you want to see me do some gaming, I don't know if I can even stream that game. I don't know if I'm going to get knocked with a copyright strike or whatever, but I'm trying to set up my Elgato. I'm trying to get everything back in motion, and maybe I'll bring you guys some coverage of some video game stuff. I know some of you have been asking for it. You want to see me swimming around being a shark, eating some people's ass? Let me know. Maybe we'll make that happen here on Sledgehammer TV. Have a little game break, right? Maybe hey, sounds good. We'll call that. We'll call the show that. We'll call the Sledgehammer TV game break. I don't know. You let me know if you think that's interesting. But that's what I'm going to do right now before I hit the bricks for another day of hell tomorrow, as Memorial Day is going to start bringing these people out with their masks on or not to celebrate Memorial Day in what has been the worst year on record. And I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay home. Please, don't be jerks right now. Keep yourself and everybody else safe. And that's the best way to do so. Thank you all so very much for your continued love and support of this channel. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team. Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you sledgeheads out there. If you are not already a member of the coolest, newest faction in all of the YouTube wrestling community that is growing by the numbers every day, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button right now and make sure you ring that bell so the notifications are on and you don't miss a thing as Sledgehammer TV continues to try to make 2020 a good year for the channel, even though it has pretty much been the worst year ever for each and every one of us. And I hope you guys are doing your best to get through. And I hope that I'm helping you get through wrestling. Because wrestling sucks just as much as reality right now. So if I can help you get through, if I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you understand why SmackDown still has some suctitude left in it, smash that like button right now. Share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they need an education as to why SmackDown sucks and why the Intercontinental Championship Tournament is actually a good thing. You know where to send them. Thank you all for your continued love and support. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.